Hi guys, it's Melissa from My Puzzled Life. Sorry I haven't been on a while. A lot has changed since I was on last time. I did get Jeff to leave. Actually, during this whole process, got back with my first everything at an early age. So he's kind of back in my life. And I don't know that I was real clear on how I felt about the Jeff, and I'm sure I mentioned it because I know I was not real clear in my mind a lot when Mom passed away. So I didn't love him. I never did. Him and Billy were like a vicious cycle with them. So they would fight out in public. There was another woman that they both had been involved with, and they would fight over me in front of her. Had it been me, I would have walked off in humiliation and left them both. But I was there too. I should have left them both standing there fighting like fools and doing whatever. I don't know. I don't know if it's an ego thing with men that neither one of them wanted the other one to have me or what it was. But I woke up enough to no, enough is enough. I'm not doing the vicious cycle with you anymore. Either one of you. Not happening. So, I do slightly remember during the process of the blackouts, going to the courthouse and Jeff having me sign something, and I thought it was to stop the divorce, and apparently it wasn't. I don't know if it was something where I delayed the divorce or what I did, but I called the district clerk's office, and they said, no, it's still, if you come up here and sign the papers, it's been over 60 days, your divorce will be final. So it's waiting for the judge to sign it. He didn't sign it today, she said, so she said to check back tomorrow, but practically the divorce is final. Sorry, one second. The divorce is final once he stamps it, because it's been over 60 days. Like I said, I don't know what I signed. It didn't stop the process. Obviously, it just delayed it until they got my signature. So, I've signed it. I went yesterday afternoon and signed it. So, the lady told me just to call her, and I called, and she said it was sitting on his desk. So, she told me to check back tomorrow, make sure he said already signed it. So, he doesn't know the divorce is practically already approved. So, it's kind of where I'm at right now. I expect for Mike to be back sometime this evening. He lives about 30 minutes away. I miss him greatly when he's gone. And when he leaves, it feels like the breath is sucked completely out of me. And I can't take in a breath until he walks through the door. From day one, it has been hit the road and go like it never ended. And I kind of joke at him because we never broke up. I was younger, and we were kind of involved where he was afraid of consequences that can occur with someone younger. He wasn't, a great deal younger. I'm older, but I was old enough where at the time it scared him. I kind of understand that, so I jokingly tell him that he's been cheating on me all this time, and I've just waited for him to come back. So he got upset earlier. I guess I hurt his feelings because he was gonna just stay at his house tonight because he works down there. And like I said, I have not been able to breathe since he left today. And I didn't want to seem overly enthused, so I just said, well, something about dinner. And he felt hurt that I didn't seem more thrilled that he was coming. But I had messaged my best friend and my cousin, even Sean, I'd messaged, like, he is coming back tonight. And they were like, oh, great. They're like, just stay calm, because I'm like freaking out, because I've never had that feeling before. Like I told Renee, I'm like, I've never cared, honestly. You know, and if I did, even with Billy, I would have, you know, I didn't care. Whatever. And even, it was to the point where all the relationships I've had have all been based on him. And even, I can remember one of them, one of the guys had come by to see me a few years ago. And I had told him, it's Mike, no matter what you're there for, you're Mike to me, that you're just a replacement. And he wanted back. He was married, this one. And he told me he was devastated when I told him that. And I'm like, God, man, all the men, I'm not going to go into the detail of that I have done that to as a replacement for one man. So when it came down to it, I had been seeing Mike here recently, so I haven't been on very much. And he came over. Of course, Jeff works not, so he was here. And he saw Jeff's stuff in there here. And Jeff slept on the couch, so we'll be honest there. I mean, there was nothing there. And Mike was kind of hurt because he saw, like, the uniforms in the room and him using one of my dressers. And I kind of had to come to the decision, do I hurt the one I love, or do I hurt the one that I do not love? And I refuse to hurt the one that I love. So I then made the decision to, and I honestly would have been really ugly had I talked to him or didn't sit. I mean, I sat there awake most of the night working on the message to send him. And I apologized for anything. Told him I appreciated anything he ever did. And when he got off, he's like, I'm going to my sergeant. I'm like, go to your sergeant. What are they going to do to me? Arrest me for being in love with somebody? So that he ends up coming out. And I'd already called the police because I didn't want him here with loaded weapons in the house, because there were like 3 loaded weapons at the time. So the police come, but he's still not here. So the sheriff's department is also coming with him. So the police leave to let the sheriff's department handle it. And honestly, I expect the sheriff's department to be like a good old boy kind of thing. And they weren't. They were very honestly professional and everything. So I was really impressed. I sat out on the porch. Mike had left, but he got down a ways and decided, I'm not leaving her alone to do this. And he turned around and came back. When the sheriff's department arrived and Jeff arrived, he went and sat in his car. And they went out and thanked him for doing that when they left, to not cause any drama. All I had to do was let him get his personal belongings. At first, he refused to give me my key. He finally did give me my key that he had used from Sean's key the previous day to make a key. So I got my key. He got his personal belongings. And went snowballing from there. He started blowing up my phone. He does have me on his account, so I'm going to have to do something with that. So I'm not really sure the direction I'm going with that. Still trying to figure things out. So he spent a couple of days blowing up my phone. And I called the police and made a complaint for harassment. So they're like, do you want to press charges? And I'm like, yes, I do. So we move a little forward. And Mike has been, here quite a bit, almost every night since, not to mention when I was with him prior to this. And Sean's comes up to me, and Mike, we're both outside, we're all three outside. And it was a particular day, it was a Sunday, and Mike was going to go home because he didn't bring his clothes. He was going to go home and wash them. And Sean is like, Mom, he said, I didn't tell you this because I knew what you would do if I told you while Jeff was still here. And he's like, a week ago, we were out at Walmart, and apparently he ran across a prior female detention officer. And he's talking to her. I don't care. Go be with her. Don't care. But he's talking to her. But where it comes in, where the line was crossed, he looks at my son and he points at him and he says, does he look familiar? And she's like, no. And he says, well, he should. He's Johnny's. I'm not going to put in the last name. But he's in Wichita County Jail, in Wichita, in Texas. And she says, he's Johnny such and such. And the guy, the one that's in the Chomo tank, which I guess means the child molester tank in their slang terms, and goes on to continue to talk to her in the busiest Walmart in town. And you have to consider this is a loud, boisterous, obnoxious person. So everybody who was walking by with my 16-year-old son standing there is hearing the story about his dad's 7 counts of such. And then after he finishes the conversation, and I guess the girl, lady, woman, whatever, walks off, he looks over at my son. He said, did that embarrass you? And I'm like, that sorry, blankety blank. So I let myself calm down. And again, this is a Sunday. I called the sheriff's department. And I kind of transfer me around, call back Monday to the sheriff's office, and make a complaint. So I call back. And, okay, well, all complaints have to be done for the sheriff in writing, blah, blah, blah. So I go on to tell her the situation. Now, consider everybody the prior day. There were 3 people I talked to, and they were very understanding and, we completely understand where you're coming from. This particular guy, not so much. I don't know who he was. I don't know that he never formally introduced himself to me, to be honest. He just said hello. So that's all I got was a hello. I never got a name, which I should have got a name. I didn't. And I go on to tell him the story. And he's like, well, he said, it's not against the law. I said, I'm not saying it's against the law. But what I'm saying is he is in what he considers a authoritative figure position. And he just totally embarrassed a 16-year-old child in public because of the cross that his father bears, not the one that my son bears. So, of course, at this point, I'm in tears because I'm so upset. So, of course, it was supposed to go on to his leadership
people who he told me, had told him that we're going to get to that in a moment, already had inappropriate relationships with the inmates. And I may have touched on this prior, I'm not sure. And I said, and I wasn't going to bring this up, but I said, when he crossed the line with my son, he crossed the line. And I said, he would always come in when he worked on the female unit on how much he was like a meat on a hook to them, and how much they loved how he smelled and how much they wanted him. And I'm like just thinking, gag, and just in the distance hearing whatever he's saying, like he thought he was going to get a reaction that he didn't get. So I told him that, and I talked to a friend about that, and she works for a department in Texas, and said more than likely, if anything got him in trouble, it would be that. So, moved back to the police department. Apparently, they must have contacted the sheriff's office, because he did stop messaging me, but he did send me 2 messages yesterday that I did not respond to, because I did give him 2 prior warnings. Do not message me again. So then yesterday he messaged twice. I did not respond. Haven't received anything today, but I do think he returns to work today. So I'm not sure what the response with the sheriff's department will be, if any, honestly. I don't care, but I wanted it documented on what he did. And I told him, I said, it's taking everything I have not to take this and go, can imagine if it's your child, what you would want to do. And he's like, ma'am, he says, you don't want to end up out here with them, so just try to stay calm. And I told him, I said, you just tell him he better not walk up on my property, because if he does, he's not walking off. So that kind of makes it a little more clear on what I told them I felt like going to do. I try to remain calm. Sean has had a lot of anxiety, fear of being left, even from Mike. And we go to the doctor tomorrow, just his regular doctor. Going to try to get him to run test again on the pancreas. If I haven't told y'all about that, they think he has chronic pancreatitis, which is hereditary, my dad and myself, and I don't know beyond that, because my dad, we never knew his biological father's side. So it's possible it ran through there, because there was alcoholism in that side. So it's a possibility. So he's very anxious and upset. 2 doctors said chronic pancreatitis at the hospital, and 1 is like gallbladder. So we may end up having to go to Cook's Children's Hospital in Fort Worth. So kind of gonna try to get a little more clarification tomorrow on what we need to do and everything. So moving forward, we'll kind of see where everything goes, and I'll kind of keep y'all updated. Tonight for dinner, kind of a queso, kind of nacho kind of thing. I had beans out because I don't know if Mike likes beans on his, and he's working and it's hot, and I don't want to bother him. I just don't need to get done so he can get here safely. And Sean's 8, so just waiting on Mike. Haven't heard from him for a little bit, but I know he was having to do some extra work tonight. And he almost wasn't going to come back tonight, but he's got to pay bills and stuff. But he ended up saying he was going to bring him here to do, because he wanted to be here with us. So kind of where we're at. And thank y'all for watching the channel. If you do, like, share, comment, subscribe, I'd appreciate any support. I love y'all being here. And that's like another day. I've had a lot of support from cousins and a best friend. So that's kind of where I'm at. Just wanted to kind of give y'all a heads up, because I know I haven't been on a while, but I have had a lot, obviously, going on. And a lot of it was personal, so I wasn't ready to put it kind of out there on where I was at and everything. And I'll end up telling y'all maybe tonight or tomorrow about a guy an elderly man. I'll also tell you now. This elderly gentleman I met at the courthouse yesterday when I went to sign the papers. And I'm getting on the elevator, and an officer or somebody was holding up the elevator for me. And I get on, and I see him coming, and he's walking with a cane. So I'm sorry if that messed up, y'all. But my phone's getting low. He's walking with a cane. I hold it open for him. He says, "Are you going to drive?" I'm like, "You probably don't want me driving right now, but I will push the buttons." So he gets on, and we start talking, and we walk out, and I kind of walk slow, and we're just talking about mom and everything. And he goes on to say, he said, "You certainly do not look your age." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you." So he walks over to his car. He says, "Let me go over to my car and we can continue to talk," but he needed to lean against it. And he was in the handicap spot. I said, "Well, okay." So I continue to talk, and he tells me about his wife that he lost at hospice as well in 2017, and how lonely and how hard it was to get out, that he just stayed in the house all the time. He never mentioned any children or anything. So, and I did. So my guess is there were no children involved. But I said, "Well, it was really nice meeting you." And Sean was in the car, and I forgot to leave my keys, so my car will turn off at a certain amount of time. It was hot. So I said, "Well, it was really nice meeting you." He said, "Well, can I have a hug before you go?" So I gave him a big hug. And I just felt, you never know what people are going through. To always be there, because you just don't know what's going on with somebody. You never know. So always be that person that will just listen, because that might be all they need that day, is for you to just listen. Or just say a kind word. That's it. It's just that easy to make somebody's day different. And he even made mine different, because it's been a rough couple of 2 days. So, y'all, thanks for watching. Y'all have a good night, and I will try to get on again tomorrow. Gonna give you updates, and y'all have a good night. Bye, guys.